Hello. Hello, soul aligned self care people. Um, it's great. It's great to be back. Oh, that just bleeped a little bit. So I'm just going to say hello again. Hello and welcome to the soul aligned self care community. Full disclosure, I am puppy sitting and he is right below me. Very distracting. Go lay down, buddy. Go lay down. But he is very cute. Very, very sweet. So today we're talking about how to show up for yourself in the new year or just anytime, really, how to show up for yourself. And I'll share with you some of the ways I do this. This is really just one way to show up for yourself. I want to just disclose that there's so many different ways to show up for yourself, to show up for your health, to show up for your self-love, to show up for it's just there's just so many ways. And this is just one way that I support myself specifically in the new year when we tend to have goals and dreams. Sorry. Oh my goodness, you can't go in there, buddy. No. Okay. All right. All right, let me see if I can let him. He wants to sit under my desk. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, go sit under there. Hopefully you'll stay there for the whole live. Okay, it's very cute, I think, how he sits under my desk when I work. It's very sweet. It's my dog's, my son's puppy, he's not a puppy, he's like a year old, so he's very well trained and very good dog for a year old. His name is Grady, and he's a chocolate lab. And I'm hoping he stays right where he is, but if he does show his face, I will share it with you. He is a cutie. If you follow me on Instagram, I've been sharing pictures of him on there because he's just so adorable. He has his head on my foot right now. This is very sweet. I'm loving it. So let's get started. There's dog hair on my coffee. Isn't this mug the cutest? I think I shared it last week too, or the week before. Maybe, I don't know. But it's got a little cardinal on it. My friend gave it to me as a Christmas present, and I absolutely freaking love it. I also have to share, because we have to celebrate those little wins that we have in life, right? I have to share that I opened up the perfect avocado and had the perfect avocado toast for lunch. So, yay me. I took a picture of it because that's what I do. That's what I share on Instagram, silly pictures like that. That's not everything. I share other stuff too, but I will share that on Instagram. I haven't done it yet, but it's going to be there. I will show you my perfect avocado. You know how when you open that perfect avocado, it's just perfect. And you're like, it's like this, the rainbow. There's a rainbow that goes across the sky and then a unicorn that walks by. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff that happens. So anyway, moving forward. So like I said, this is just one way that I honor myself every year. And it's about like setting goals and dreaming big and doing stuff like that. Very often, but not always, people want like new stuff to come into their life, right? They want to change some things. It might not be everything, it might be one thing, it might be everything. It might, you just never know. But we have to acknowledge and you have to know that in order to bring new things into your life, you can't do, act, or be the same person that you are right now. You have to change that. And a lot of us don't even think about that. We're like, I could do this just by setting goals and chugging along and hustling and doing this stuff. And I don't like the hustling part because I'm all about avoiding burnout and overwhelm. So this is about doing it the easy way and showing up for yourself by achieving those goals and dreams and bringing them into your life, but at the same time, not causing a lot of stress and self judgment, self hatred, like all those comments you say to yourself, like, how come I can't do this? How come everybody else can do this and I can't? Comparison, which is the killer of all dreams and goals. So, like, this is a couple of ways. Well, what I'm going to share with you today, actually, is three ways we sabotage ourselves and we don't really realize it. And I'm hoping that this helps you reach your goals this year. So I want you to take into consideration. I also wrote a blog on this, so that if you want this in written form, you can go to my website, tinastinson.com, and you could read the blog. So you could always have access to those 3 steps in writing. And every week when I do my podcast, I usually do journal prompts, but maybe I'll include these 3 steps instead of the journal prompts or in addition to the journal prompts this week. And it's always a free download that you can get in the show notes of my podcast. So just so that you have that information. So after you realize and you know, oh, hey, Janet, what's up? I just saw that you were here. After you realize and you know that you need to change the way you show up, that you need to change how you are being, what you're doing in order to make changes in your life, then you have to make the decision that you're doing this for you, and no one else but you. It's important because most likely you won't bring about change if you're doing it for someone else. You can only carry on that kind of passion for a certain amount of time. And if it's for someone else, to please someone else, it's going to be hard for you to be passionate about that. If it's a big goal, and I encourage people to set big, ginormous, wonderful goals. I encourage you to dream a little bit so that it's a lot of fun and it can be very inspirational. But if you're doing this for somebody else, or you're doing this because you're afraid somebody might judge you for your real dream, or you're afraid that maybe your parents have certain expectations, and I know some of us are kind of past that, but there's so many people that have to deal with that for their entire lives, and it's hard. It's a hard thing to get past. Maybe you're expected to behave and act and be a certain way in your family structure, by your children, by your partner. It could be, just the communities that you belong to. It could be where you work, the different influences at work. So you really need to kind of like step out of that and start to ask yourself, why do I want to do this, and why is it important? And kind of make sure that it's your goal. I just did a free workshop and it's on this page. And for those of you who haven't watched it yet, I do talk more about this in the workshop, and I offer you the free workbook. You could still sign up for the workshop, and if I see that anybody signs up late, like now, because it's over and done with, and it's going to be available until the 8th of January, I will send you the workbook so that you have the why sheet. So I have this specific worksheet where you could figure out your why it's important to you and really dig deep and get the real true why. And what's great about this worksheet is when you do it, if it's not your dream, it kind of starts to become apparent to you. It's like almost like working through your thoughts and then realizing, why am I not passionate about this? Oh, it's because this is an expectation of society or my family or whoever, right? So the next step is to make that decision that you're going to do this, and then you're going to figure out why it's important to you, and then you're going to move forward. So then I want you to know that when you make big changes, you don't have to make big leaps. Okay, so this is the part where I'm trying to show you that you could have a big dream that could be a huge shift for you, but you don't have to take big leaps to get there. You can take big leaps, but sometimes this can be a way that we sabotage ourselves, because it might be hard to take a big leap or to take a big step, and you might fail. I know I've talked about this before. There's no such thing as failure. Failure is either a lesson or a redirection that you need to keep moving forward. But a lot of people stop at that failure thinking that they're not going to be able to do this. So a better way to do this is to take small, consistent steps over time. And I'm not the first person to say this, obviously. I'm sure you've heard this before, but have you done it? Have you done it? Because tiny steps make big changes if you are consistent with them. Over time, this means, I want to add to the over time, and I said consistent already, but it means to keep moving forward, even if you do have little failures along the way. The best thing to do is to just ask yourself the question, why did this happen? What can I learn from this? Is this to redirect me, or do I need to change the way I'm doing things? And then keep moving forward. And I've said this before, that I feel like a lot of successful people are successful just because they keep moving forward, not because they're extraordinary or special or more knowledgeable or more experienced than you, but just because they know to keep moving forward. It's like every failure is a great way to reach your successes quicker, because the more you fail, the more you learn. The more you learn, the better you get at what you're trying to achieve. Okay, so failure is good. If you have a lot of failures, then that's good. So giving yourself giving up on yourself and not showing up for yourself, going back to what I said in the beginning, you need to know that you can do this for yourself. You need to know that you can count on yourself. You need to know that you can make the changes. You need to support yourself. This is definitely a form of self-care and self-love. That's what I mean by showing up for yourself. You need to know you're willing to go the distance, that you have your own back, and that you'll always be there for yourself. Because just like you do this for other people, you do this for your kids, you do this for your partner, you do this for your family, you do this for your friends. Some people do this for their work. Uh, you need to show up for yourself that way, in that same passionate way that you show up for the people you love, for yourself first. Because when you show up for yourself like this first, then it makes you a better, stronger person for those other people that you want to show up for. So it's not selfish, it's about really putting your best self forward. So if you feel that you've let yourself down in the past, I have a theory, and there's 3 reasons that this could be something that you're doing that could be really self-sabotage into big goals and big dreams. Now, the first one is just very plain and simple. You're going after somebody else's goal, maybe a partner, society's expectations, just like I talked about earlier. Because what happens is you lose that momentum when things get hard, because it's not something you really deep down inside want. It's just not something you want. So this could be the first thing, really just not doing that first step and deciding on your goal, your dream, like authentically. It's 100% yours. It's not to impress anybody. It's not to make anybody else happy. It's 100% yours. So that's how you're going to show up for yourself when you're setting goals and dreams this year, right? And I always add dreams to the goals, because I want those goals to be extraordinary, and I want them to be huge, and I want them to be inspirational, and I want them to be, that secret dream that you have that you're afraid to tell people because you think it's too big, or you think it's not possible. Whatever you believe to be possible is possible. And people might think that's a bunch of bullshit, but I believe it's 100% true, because whatever you put out into the world, universe, to God, whatever you believe in, is what's going to come back reflected at you. And so if you don't have that belief, you don't have the belief in the dream, then no matter how hard you work, you're not going to be able to reach that. So that's another way to show up for yourself, right? The second thing that is very sabotaging is you were taking big, huge, gigantic, scary leaps, and the thought of this stops you in the tracks. So like you have this goal, right? And it's this big goal, because I just talked about that. Tina's encouraging me to make these big, gigantic, ridiculously awesome goals. And you think you're so far from that goal that you need to take these big leaps. But that's not true. Those little steps are very compounding, just like compounding interest. It works the same way. And I actually think that you could reach a goal faster with small, tiny little steps. Okay. But you might think it's an impossible task. And yes. And sometimes it works out. Sometimes people take huge risks and it works out. And that's great when it does. And this could be, but this happens sometimes, but it doesn't happen all the time. And this could be really hard on your self-esteem and your confidence and your ability to back yourself up, have your own back, like I said earlier. And it can also stop you in your tracks. It can cause you to procrastinate. It could cause you to just be like, what's the point? And sometimes procrastination is exactly that. It's the fear of not being able to reach that goal. Now, the third thing that stops us, I'm sorry, I'm reading my notes, is that you try to figure out each step before you even start. So I've seen people get stuck in this way so many times. Almost everyone, I think almost everyone experiences this at some point. I don't think anybody avoids this type of behavior. I think but once you learn that you don't have to do this, you realize how much easier it can be for you. Okay, so like you have to get from point A to point B, and it's a big leap, like we talked about, and you think that you need to know how. You need to know the how. You need to know each little step. Now, the point I want to make is that what I talked about earlier is taking those tiny steps, and then if it's a failure, so to speak, which I said is a good thing, failures are good, You need to like reassess and think, what can I learn from this? How do I need to redirect myself possibly, right? So what happens is the next step might not be what you thought it was going to be, right? But if you map things out and you think you need to do that, know the how beforehand, all those steps that you map out could be the wrong steps because you really don't know what the next step is. So the best way to approach this is to take those little tiny steps, celebrate your wins, um, dissect the failures that you find so that you can, and then to keep moving forward, which is like the secret thing. The only step that you need to know is the next step. And when you get stuck in trying to figure out the how, you kind of never start because it's so hard to figure out the how. And especially if you have really big dreams and really big goals, the how, it seems almost impossible to you. So, like, say you had the ridiculous goal of having, $100,000 month, okay, in your business, and you have freaking no clue how you could possibly do that. So you're going to sit down and you're going to map it out and you're going to try to figure out how you can do this. But the truth is that you don't even know. You could take the first step and say, like, I need to connect with my audience first. I need to connect with my clients. But what's the next? You don't know what the next step is. You need to see how the first step plays out. Okay. And while I agree, $100,000 month is like this huge crazy goal. Um, I know people who actually do that, which is crazy, right? But it's possible. I know it's possible because I've seen people do it, but I don't know the how, and their how isn't the same as my how is going to be. They could try to teach me how, but their how is going to be different than mine. And so, if that's something you truly want, just taking that next step and then reassessing. And I go over this in that workshop also. So, if you really want to go a little bit deeper in that, you could go listen to the workshop right on this page. So as you can see, nobody knows all the steps from point A to point B. And maybe like when you look back in hindsight, you could see how everything worked out, but it would never be as you planned. It would never be as you planned. Like even when I started my podcast, I originally was going to do it with another person, and I would have never thought that I was going to do it by myself, but it just worked out that way. But like in hindsight, it worked out for the best. But I would have like planned those steps to make it work out that way. So like look at something that you've achieved in your life and then look back at it and look at the steps that you took to get there. It could have been, there's no straight line, you're going like this, you're just going like bouncing off of all these things, right? And so when you look at those steps, you can see that you never would have planned it out that way, ever. Okay. And so I want you to be kind to yourself. So I want you to pay attention to your behaviors when you're setting these big goals and dreams. And I want you to be kind to yourself. Set the small steps. Celebrate the wins. Celebrate every stinking win. Okay. Because celebrating the wins helps you move forward. It helps give you confidence. That's another thing small goals do, small steps, is it gives you confidence. And you gain that momentum and that confidence. You could gain it a lot quicker because small steps are achieved a lot quicker than these big gigantic leaps. Almost like these big gigantic leapy steps have like little steps in between, right? So just take the next little step. So in order to bring about positive change in the new year, in order to show up for yourself, just make small, consistent steps and small, consistent changes over time. It's like that with everything. So, like, say, a health goal or a weight goal or a workout goal, small, consistent steps. So, I do yoga almost every day, but I stopped for the month of, and I do this every year. I stopped working out for like the month of December. It's like my body just needs to rest. And so I stopped, and now I'm getting into yoga again and weightlifting and running. I'll start running again soon. And one of the things I noticed is it is hard to start again. Like, but I think it's good to stop and let my body rest, but it is hard to start again. So I'm doing the Yoga with Adriene 30-day journey because she starts small. If you go look at the day 1 and day 2 and you've been practicing yoga for years like me, you'll notice that these steps that she's taking are very small. And so I'm easing myself into it. These classes are like 20 minutes long, 30 minutes long, so they're really quick and short, and it's doable. It's absolutely doable. And that's what you need to do when you're setting goals. So if you want an example of this yogi wise, you could go check out Yoga with Adrienne's 30-day journey. She's today would be day 3. I haven't done day 3 yet. I do my yoga in the afternoon. Oh, thanks, Janet. I appreciate that. I hope that these tips are helpful. They're very simple. So if like you just set a goal, you could go like on my website and look at the blog post so that you have these 3 little self-sabotage things. Remind yourself of what you might be doing to yourself, not on purpose, but just because, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily self-sabotage. I think when people set really, really big goals and they want to get there fast and they're excited, it's not self-sabotage to try to take a big leap. And like I said, it does work out for some people sometimes, but some of the other things are definitely self-sabotage. All right, let me see it. Let me look at my notes and see if I want to say anything else. So, okay, keep going. Okay, yes, keep going. Always move forward. I swear to God, I should get that tattooed to my body because it's the best advice that I can give myself. So when things get tough for me, it's just like on to the next thing, keep moving forward. On to the next thing, keep moving forward. On to the next thing. If you feel overwhelmed, check in with the 3 reasons you might be overwhelmed that I talked about. If you're reading this or tuning into this live, or you tune into my podcast, if you're reading my blog, tuning in this live, or tuning into my podcast, then I know that you are the type of person that likes to better themselves. I know that you're the type of person that's looking for new ways to show up for yourself, right? Anybody who looks at this piece of media that I'm putting out in so many different ways, well, it's the type of person who really wants to do the right thing for themselves. And so I know that you will be successful. And these little steps and these little shifts that we can make along the way can be a big deal. Another way of showing up for yourself, even when you're making these small, tiny steps and these small, tiny leaps, is no judgment, no comparison, and no negative self-talk. So when something fails, I can't say this enough, it's not a failure, it's a lesson or a redirection, and it's meant to be. Sometimes our lives are being, say the universe or God or your higher self or whatever it is, your intuition deep down inside in your heart, you know that wasn't the right direction, but you're not completely tuned in to your higher self or your subconscious mind. So this is your body's way and the universe's way, universal intelligence way of redirecting you. So just pay attention to those failures. They're so important. They're clues, they're whispers telling you what direction to go into. So I think that's all I wanted to say today. Let me see here. Okay. Oh yeah, my last encouraging statement, which I put on my blog post. You got your own back. You can count on yourself and the universe. You're a co-creator with the universe. What's more powerful than that, right? So if that needs to be an affirmation that you say in the mirror every day, I got your back. You can count on me. Then say that to yourself every day to remind yourself that you got your own back. If you want extra help making these powerful changes or working on this type of mindset work, I am introducing a new coaching program where I use Voxer only, so it's no video. There will be one call. There's always a call so that I can get to know what your goals and dreams are. And then after that, it's using the app Voxer, which is an app that you put on your phone, and it's a text-based app, but you can do like voice recordings and also videos, and it's a really quick and easy way to coach. And what I like about it, as opposed to a weekly call or a monthly call, is that if you're in the depths of something, you're in the depths of that goal, you're in the depths of making some changes, and you need like some guidance or support or accountability, then it's almost kind of like instantaneous. So I do have like hours, like I can't remember the hours that I put. I think it was like 10 to 7 or 11 to 7, and not really on the weekends. But what I tell my clients when I use Voxer is to always just, when something comes up in your head, to send the message. And if I'm not available currently, like if it's 10 o'clock at night and it comes up, send the message so you don't forget it, and I will respond to it the next day. But what's great about it is it's kind of like in real time. So you'll get these answers and you can move forward. You don't lose that momentum that you have. And that's what I like about it. So it's great for these types of mindset practices that you want to, if you want to reset your mindset. And I will put the link to that below. It's also very affordable, which I also like. It helps me connect with more people and help more people. So I'm sorry, I'm getting like little warnings on here that my feed is not, my internet's like weak. So I hope this is still working. Anyway, I'll put the link to the Voxer coaching below if you're interested. Also, if you have any questions about this, just reach out to me. I'll be glad to help you. I am also going to be trying to go live on Patreon. I was going to do that today, but I don't know completely how to do it yet. My goal is to eventually kind of ease myself off of Facebook and go on some other platforms, just because Facebook doesn't have any customer service. They also shut a lot of people down without a warning. And so I really don't want to have to deal with that. So some of these other platforms like Patreon, and I work on the Aura app, and I'm trying to think of anything else, Substack, different places where I put some of my content, have better customer service, better everything, to be honest with you. And so I love Facebook because I've had so many genuine, wonderful connections on Facebook, but the platform is really going in like a different direction than I want to go in. And there's a lot of advertising on here. And I'm currently working on creating a community like with Facebook like characteristics on my website that will just be specifically to soul aligned self care. And the only advertising that you might see is me promoting a program or my coaching, which I already do on here anyway. And there won't be any like distracting sidebars. There's not going to be any negativity or anything like that. And so I'm testing it at right now on my website, and you can get access to it, but it's still in the test phase. And I haven't quite figured out how to share it with people yet. So I'll be talking more about that in the future. It'll be totally free. It's not going to cost anything. I'm just looking for another platform to do the same stuff I do on Facebook that's just more of a positive experience for everybody. That's all I'm looking for. So hopefully I'll have this up and running soon, because it would be great to do it. And there is a way to access it on your phone just as easily as Facebook. There's an app that you download, and then you just log in to my website, and then you have access on there, and you could just keep it open all the time. So whenever there's a new post or anything, there's challenges on there and stuff like that, you will be able to have instant access to it through your phone if the phone is a way that you like to access things. But it's also available on computers. So anyway, I will put the link to the Voxer below, and then I will see you next week to continue on with the Live with Purpose series. I'm not sure when I'm going to be ending this. I might go throughout January with this. In February, I'm going to be launching my Aligned and Worthy program, which is really about stepping into your power and living with purpose, and doing that while practicing all these deep level self-care practices that I teach. And it's a great program. I really love it. You'll have lifetime access to it. But that will be launching. I like to launch it on February 14th. It's a very kind of special day for me. And so you'll be seeing more about that if you're interested. Okay, I love you guys. I will see you next week. Bye.